Hi everyone, this is Cake 2 of Kelly from Truth and Story. I already did this once and then my memory card decided to screw up a little bit. But today is a bit of a makeup day and we're doing 2 days. This is for the 21st and today the 22nd. Sometimes things happen, right? You just roll with it. So we have these two cards, which I'm using the gorgeous Victorian Gothic Lenormand that Miss Maureen sent to me, and I adore this deck. I mean, it's just so gorgeous, and as you know, I am in love with the Bohemian Gothic Tarot, and so this particular deck just goes gorgeous with that deck, and so I love this so much, and I thought the 4 of these cards just looked amazing together, so I thought, yeah, this is the deck to use. So we have the woman here, which of course is going to just be a female significator and or the partner of, depending on, you know, the sex, the partner of the querent that you are working with. It can also, if it shows up and it's not being a significator, it can stand in for intuition, just as the man can stand in for leadership or a leader, although I tend to use them in terms of significator cards. But it can stand in for that, or that kind of male and female energies. Then we have the Lily card, which is one of those strange cards in that it's about harmony for the most part. When I read the Lily's card, it's about harmony, but it is also about family, and it's also can be about sexuality, which is kind of a strange combination. Although, let's be honest, let's be birds and the bees-ish. I guess it takes sexuality in order to have a family, to make a family, in a sense, and especially in this time period, right? So I guess those go together. Now, some people use the whip as sexuality, and I just saw that here, where we did actually have sort of a sexy woman showing in the whip card. I did see it right here, holding the whip, you know. So I have another deck, the Under the Roses Lenormand also has the whip card as being quite a sexual card. I think I want to say, and well, I'm sure you'll quote me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that it's the French tradition views the whip as a sexuality card, whereas I think the German tradition has the lilies as a sexual. It's, you have a stamen in it. It's kind of that they were pretty literal, and so you have that sense of, I think that's where the sexuality count comes from with the lily. Whoa, with the Lily card, but that would be the German tradition, and then the French tradition would have the whip for sexuality. But it makes this card a strange one in terms of interpreting, because you have harmony, you have family, and then you have sexuality, which are quite different, because families aren't all the time harmonious, and sexuality is something that we often see quite separate from family, and or other than the birds and the bees that we were talking about. And you got to remember, again, they were quite literal in this time period, and so the idea is it would take sexuality to produce children, which produces family, which should produce, harmony as well. So I guess I can kind of see where it's coming. But I think people have a little bit of hard time reading this card because the meanings are quite different. I tend to always see this card as to do with harmony for the most part. Now, if you're doing a pure reading that is just about romance or about a relationship, then you could look to this card for sexuality, because it wouldn't be. But you also want to see about a harmonious relationship as well. Are things in harmony? Or are they out of harmony? So you'd kind of have to decide in your mind how you're going to use this. But if you want to use this for harmony, then if you have a great card deck like this with the sexy whip lady, then she can be, you can put that as. But the whip is about disagreements, which is why I don't tend to use this as a sexual card as well, because this is a pretty concrete fighting, disagreements, discord kind of card. So it's kind of, again, strange to stick sexuality with that. So I don't generally read straight up romance Lenormand readings anyways. So I've not really had too much of an issue with it. For me, I tend to think about it as harmony, and then if it comes up where it makes sense because of other cards near it, or depending on the question, then you know it's there to be used for that. But for the most part, I just stick with Harmony for that one. So then we have the Sun and the Moon, and how gorgeous are these Sun and the Moon cards in this Victorian Gothic deck. But can we just stop and look at the backs again, because how Gothic-y and awesome this deck is just amazing. Amazing. I don't recommend it for beginners, as I've already said, because look at, there's Edgar Allan Poe with a skull, and a little creepy Chow with a skull. But I don't recommend it for beginners, because here we have the snake, but we also have a woman in a shallow grave with roses. And so what are we looking at? Roses? Are we looking at a dead woman? Are we looking at the snake? And so it becomes a little, if you don't know the cards well, it becomes a little complicated what you're looking at. So I wouldn't really recommend it as a beginner deck, but I love it. But look at these two. So here we have the Sun and the Moon. And of course, because it's a Gothic deck, the Sun is like really trying to get through this foggy night, and it is in a cemetery. You can see an angel. See that. You can see an angel statue weeping there, and the sun is just trying so hard to shine through. But then look at that moon card, just bam, big old werewolf moon with all those stars. Like, that is a gorgeous pairing. So the sun card is much like the sun card in the tarot. It's a happy card. It's happiness. It's a good things. Let me give you your keywords that we that you would have on your actual list, since I'm trying to do that for the straight beginners. So the Sun would be happiness, success, and growth. It's a very positive card. It's literally a positive. Remember, we have our listing that we talked about, if I can find it, here, where we show positive, positive, neutral, negative, and negative. And the Sun is a full-on positive. So when that's the case, that means that if it's next to a negative card, it's actually going to rise it up. If it's next to a neutral card, it's going to make the neutral card more positive. And so it's a full-on positive card. The Lilies card is a positive neutral. So it's harmony is positive. Think about the neutrality is family. Family could be neutral, because is the family in harmony? Maybe, but maybe not. And so that's why it wouldn't be on the full-on positive. But the Sun is, and is always going to lift things up that are nearby. And the Moon, however, is, the Moon is actually fully positive as well. Now, I use the Moon card for, the technical ones would be for your intuition, your emotions. Think about, most of you are coming at it from tarot, and this is somewhat tarot. We don't, it's bad to even compare them, because one of the hardest things for tarot readers to shift to Lenormand is to stop thinking all, esoteric and ooh, dig deep and dive into the symbols. Lenormand isn't that way. Lenormand is very blunt, very practical, and so, but the Moon card is very close to that in terms of emotion, intuition, and I also think about the rising moon. And so for me, if you have a secondary work, if you need a secondary work significator, then I use the Moon card for this. So let's say this happens all the time. People come to me for readings where they have a job that pays the bill, but they're trying to build up a business, they're starting a business, they're building up a business, they're trying to make a business that they are passionate about, that they are investing themselves into. So for me, that would be, I use the Moon card. And I don't know how that started, but it did. I don't know, and I don't know if that's a German tradition, because mostly, and I've had people even that get readings from me say, oh, you're from the German tradition. For the most part, I am. So I don't know what the French then use. I know the French use a fox for work, whereas I use the anchor for work, which is German. I'm just looking. Now see, Eve, this is in the Enchanted Lenormand guidebook, and she does use it for working, emotional satisfaction, those kinds of recognition, that kind of thing. So it looks like that isn't completely out of the realm of, I started to learn to read Lenormand long before I ever had a book, so I kind of don't know where things came from. I just kind of went from the little white book, and then from videos of Hexclair as well as Malkael, or I always slaughter his name. He's a German guy that's on YouTube as well, and he is a straight up Lenormand reader. He does read Kipper, but he doesn't read tarot. He comes at it strictly from generations of reading Lenormand, and so I learned a lot from him again. So both of those were German, so it doesn't surprise me that mine come across as or come from the German aspect. So that's what I use it for. If you read more French, I'm not sure what you would use as a secondary work card. You'll have to look it up. And just use, with Lenormand significators, just use what makes sense to you. If you know the stars rising, your rising stars make sense to you as which there's a cool stars again over cemetery because it's a creepy deck. That could make sense to some people, I guess, but it doesn't so much to me. So with the ladies and lilies, if you have these together, you know, you're obviously talking about a woman who is in harmony and in touch with her intuition if you're not using this as a significator. If you're looking at the sun and the moon, you've got a lot of stuff going on, right? Great deal of happiness. And why? Well, maybe because your business is doing very well, because those two are next to each other. That might indicate that business is doing very well. Although generally, you remember, it's what's first. So here, if we have the moon first, we have, this is about. So what is the main, think of them as sentences. So the moon is the subject of the sentence, which if we're using this for our secondary work card, we would then look next to it to see, well, what about the job? Well, the sun card's there. Everything's going really well. This is a really good sign you're on the right track. This is where you should be doing. Whereas if you have happiness, well, what's the happiness being caused by? The happiness is being caused by the sun being rising. Now, this could be being in touch with your intuition if it's not a work question. So you always look to the first card, that's the subject, and then the second, third, you know, whatever, however many cards you have, are then going to turn around and tap into giving you more information about the first card. So that is the 4 cards that you had to look at today, and we should be going, let's see, that's 32, so 33 and 34 are going to be tomorrow, and then 35 and 36, so today is Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, so Friday, by Thursday, you're going to be totally done with all the Lenormand cards, and by Friday, we're going to be switching into spreads and working our way towards the grand tableau. So just remember, let me zoom out here a little bit, and I'm going to wrap this up. If I can get it where you can see this. Just remember, because so you've only got a couple more days, and then we're going to be moving on to the grand tableau. So just remember not to start, everybody freaks out about the grand tableau, so I'm really highly suggesting that you just get used to the grand tableau and don't let it freak you out. There is absolutely nothing for, and I'm going to get them all out of whack. There's nothing for you to be freaked out about the grand tableau. It's exactly what you've been doing with 3 and 9 cards. So just in the next 2 days, my recommendation is to go ahead and lay them out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes. So just lay them out. Don't even be, now when I obviously do it for somebody, I'm doing it a lot neater, but just get all the cards on the table, 4 rows of 9. Don't even think anything about it. Get all your cards down, and then just pick yourself, or whatever you want to look at. If you want to look at work, look at that awesome anchor card. Then just go to the anchor. If you want to look at you, look at you. And what you can literally do is say, okay, I'm going to be seeing what's going on around me. Here is the woman card. And you just take all these away. There you go. Take them all away. And there you have your 9 card to work with. But the benefit of doing it this way is that Lenormand is all about what cards are touching what cards. And so the best way to do that is to do the grand tableau to see what's going on. Just shove the rest of this out of the way. You've got the cards. Don't even bother looking at the rest. You know, we're going to, in the last 2 days of March, we'll be going completely over the grand tableau, exactly how I do, looking at the first 3, looking at the corner, corners, looking at the middle four, doing your knighting, doing your counting, doing everything like that. But for right now, just take out a 9 card. Okay, here we go. Here's me in the middle. And then we look to the top left corner and we say, okay, what is this talking to me about? Well, it's talking to me about a man. So there's your man in the corner. So that would be telling you, okay, this is talking to you about your significant other. So we got the lilies. We'll see we've got the lilies, which is a good thing because that's about harmony. It's also about sexuality. So it looks like things are going good in the sexuality department. You've got the bouquet. That's happiness. That's good things. So you're reading that line because these cards are touching each other, right? So that's all you got to do. We got positive change over here. We got path card over here. We've got the bear, which means that this is a very strong individual. This would be a strong man. And so you just start to look at just those cards, and you don't have to freak out about the other 36 cards. Because I've been getting messages of people like, oh, I'm so loving this month. I really love Lenormand. This is a lot of fun, but I'm scared to death to be doing the Grand Tableau. That was easy. That took, how long did that take? Lay them all out real fast, find out what you want to really look at, and then just forget about the rest of them. We'll get to it all later, but it's all it is a means to getting the cards to touch, and it's nothing to freak out about. You don't have to look at every single card, every single house it's in, do all the crazy stuff that you see people doing. We're just starting with this, and that was pretty quick, and that was pretty easy, so no panicking about the Grand Tableau. It's the best part of Lenormand. It's like doing a big puzzle. So but it's one card at a time. Well, 2 cards, right? We don't ever do 1 card in Lenormand. So there you go. Just a little look at those 4 cards and a little reminder not to be freaking out over the Grand Tableau and having fun with this. This is supposed to be a lot of fun. This is a fun system. Just have fun with it, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.